Happy Thursday, people. It's already Thursday, thank gosh. I'm ready for Friday and the weekend. Oh, that's a cool little subscribe. I like that. Thank you, Coat. And that's cool too. Thank you. He's joining me. Yeah, I was listening. It was right away this morning when I was at work. The Pete Buttigieg dude showing up with the reflective vest on, hard hat, safety glasses. I was like, okay. Asking all these questions and stuff. I don't know. I was working though, so I was kind of half able to pay attention, half not. Been having to do a lot of moving around lately. I've been working on some small pieces, so getting those done fairly quickly. Spent the last few hours catching up. Yep, and that's all we're going to be talking about tonight. Channel got so wrong. That sucks. You know, why can't we just talk about the core matter? You know, the main subject. The other political stuff is just, I don't know. Spinning off. That's, yeah. Well, I heard Alec Murdaugh was testifying. What's up, Dre? Yep, today and tomorrow, huh? Exhausted. I know. I'm kind of there with you, Kid Kitty. I'm kind of spent on the whole Murdaugh stuff, honestly. Just being real. What's up, Cassie? Good evening. I got my coffee. What else is that? I can't tell. You know, that's one thing I like with Twitch. The little emojis are huge, so you can actually like see what they are. If anybody remembers Mixer, that was on Xbox. That was really neat. You could actually play real music videos on your screen while you're gaming. You could play real music. You could. The emojis were like 5 times the size of the text, and they were all animated. So, I mean, it was just really cool. It sucks because of the pandemic, they ended up having to sell. Xbox had to sell Mixer, their own streaming service. They had to sell it, and it became Facebook Gaming. I bet you didn't know about that. So if you're on Facebook Gaming, your ancestor was Mixer. It was a beautiful program. I miss Mixer. I'm doing good. How is everybody today? What's up, SRB? Yeah. Saturday, I'll be gone all day at Ren Fair. Wow, nice. 20th year. Facebook Gaming. Yep. Speaking of games real quick, I came across this as well. If anybody knows any, as long as I can use the web browser based games, the music can play along. Like you can hear the music. So, I do have that casino game, but I was like, it'd be really fun is to play pool. 8-ball, 9-ball, whatever. Just shoot some pool. So I was kind of looking up this one, and it's 8-ball pool with friends. But there's a whole bunch of Oh no, different games. So if anybody would like to check that out, maybe we can play some pool sometime. I think that'd be neat. 8-ball pool with friends, and I think you can play it on your phone. I'm not sure. I know it had Google Play, and then it had the website. No, these aren't Jackbox. This is a web-based game. So basically, like PC. I think you can play on the phone with this as well. 8-ball pool with friends. Let me see if it shows the logo. That's not the logo. It's got like an 8 with a flame, an 8-ball with like a flame coming out of it. Oh my gosh, that is loud. I can't beat this. Yeah! Holy crap. Hold on. Oh my lord. I'll deal with it. Hold on one second, everybody. Oh my gosh. This shit is loud. Holy crap. Come on. What happened? Oh, it's an ad. It was an ad. Okay. I don't know. Man, that is loud. Yeah, we'll get off that. There we go. Yeah, but if anybody, because I was trying to look up Yahoo Pool, and Yahoo Pool don't exist anymore. Yeah, sorry about that. There's got to be, if anybody, tell you what, if anybody knows of a pool game where you can play on the phone and on a PC, let me know what that is, because I would love to chill back and shoot pool for an evening. It'd be kind of cool. Have like a little chill out on StreamYard. We could all like watch different pool games and stuff. Maybe have a little tournament or something. Losers out. But I can web rat. Ah, yes. You got to figure out that password. Ooh. The all elusive password. Oh, gosh. Ouch. Yeah. I mean, if anybody knows any, please, because I would love to be able to shoot some pool. I'm like my all-time favorite was Yahoo Pool, but it don't exist anymore. I mean, Yahoo Pool was the best. Yahoo Pool was the best. I mean, oh man. I don't know what happened. I don't know where it went. Sword to the knee. That sounds like it would hurt too. Kevin, where are you? Speaking of Kevin, give me a second here. I thought he had his first live the other day. Then he did a second one today, and it was really neat on the second one. You guys should check it out. Kevin Kraft. Let me get to it here. Where did it go? There it is. Attempt number 2. This was so cool, though. Wow, 3 hours. And he got a new sub. This was so cool. Congratulations, Kevin. You got another sub, man. This was so cool. Here, let me go on full screen here, and then let me share it so you can see what I'm talking about. Dude. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it was cool. We got different machines. Watch. Different machines. He went to different, we're doing different stuff here. I mean, that was really neat, man. Like changing the camera all around, like doing different things, showing us how you, like, look at this, man, showing us how you're making a bowl. Like, this is so neat, man. Yeah, this was so neat. Yeah, Kevin Kraft, he has a YouTube channel now. So let me put the link. This is the video that I have up right now. 1 second. I think I got a Discord message here. Whenever I get a Discord message, it doesn't shrink my bar. Okay, I don't think I did. I don't know what that. Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm still getting used to this. I gotta go to the main. Oh, there we go. Yes, I do. Aww. That is so cute. Aww. Aww. Oh my gosh. Hold on, everybody. Aw. Thank you so much, Cassie. Look at that. So cute. So cute, Cassie. Oh, that is so cute. Thank you for sharing that, Cassie. She is a month old next Thursday already. Oh my gosh. A whole month already. Just think, like a snap of a finger. We were talking about a snap of a finger. Aw, so adorable. That's right. Princess. We'll leave that up there for a minute. Thank you. That is so cute. It is going by fast, isn't it, Cassie? Aw. The first baby born during the podcast CJ show. So cute. We need to, Cassie, we need to come up with a merch item. The first podcast baby. That is so cute. Thank you so much. That's awesome. She also did send me some. It was kind of interesting, everybody. I didn't even know that these things were related. I don't know if anybody heard about the plane crash that happened where 5 people lost their life. And the crazy thing is it was the 5 environmental workers on their way to the Ohio metal plant explosion that passed in that plane crash. Thank you for that, Cassie. Aw. Yeah, we got to think of something, Cassie. You let me know. We'll figure something out. Our future. That's what I'll call it. Our future. That'll be the name of whatever it is. The Our Future. Thank you. Aww. Okay, hold on. So cute. Oh my gosh. So fucking cute. That is very true, Kid Kitty. Aww. So little. Look at that. Look at that expression. Look at that expression. Just chilling. Just chilling. So cute. Oh my gosh. What a way to start the show. What a way to start the show. Thank you so much. All right, let me go back. I think I shared the link, but if I didn't, let me go ahead and share it right now. Can mean mug. That's just personality, Mom. That's all she. That's just personality. This is Kevin Kraft's YouTube channel that he just started. This was his second live. The first one, we got to see how he made those little tops, and I was like, I was so excited for this one too because I started watching it, and then all of a sudden, because I'm at work, so I can only really listen to it mostly, and I do miss stuff, but I kept looking down at my phone as I was like working here and there, and I was like, oh shit, it's a different fucking camera angle with a different machine. And he's showing us how he makes all these different things. Look at this. You guys can watch the whole video, but look at that. He's making a bowl. Look at this. So cool. So cool. And I'm telling you right now, the sound of the wood just being chiseled and grinded and all that stuff, it's like peaceful. But he was actually like kind of doing some chatting during the live too. Kevin Kraft, man, what a live today. Thank you. Appreciate it. So cool, man. And there's the link to his video. Let me see. Let me make sure I put it in there. Yes, I did. And then you can subscribe. Very cool. All right, let me get into what we got for tonight. Let me go to the bottom here. Oh no, you'll have to ask him. I think he was going to be joining tonight. I'm pretty sure he said he was. Yeah, really neat. Definitely check it out. That second one's neat. I can't wait to, because I'm gonna rewatch it. Just because I wasn't able to actually watch it at work, so I'm gonna rewatch it and see how all that shit gets made. It's pretty neat. He probably does have jokes. All right. Yeah, definitely check that channel out, Kevin Kraft. And if you need the link to it, here, actually, let me go and get the actual link to his page too. That way, if anybody's on replay and they miss that, you can go ahead and click on this. Okay. Oh, 1 second. Wow, that's really neat looking. Did you make that? That's really cool looking. Your father-in-law made that. Wow. That is so cool. Wow. That is talent right there. And then the other, like, you can see the ripples in it. Here, I'm going to show the side picture real quick, too. Look at that. Got the ripples in it, too. Wow, that is neat. Do more of a close-up on that. Wow, that's awesome. That definitely takes some time getting them, these ripples here. That definitely takes some time getting all those to line up, you know? That definitely takes some time. That's some sanding. That's some work. Yes, tell him we all said it looks awesome. He's been working on it for a month now. Wow. Yeah, it looks amazing. Yeah, I'm telling you, woodworking. You could be the new Bob Vila. You don't even need to be hired by PBS. You just start your own thing. And the beautiful thing is if you can't do it, because the only reason I never went live on YouTube for a long time was because the requirements for mobile and shit. And then all of a sudden I was watching a show one day on YouTube and I'm like, oh, I wonder what the hell everybody uses. So I started paying attention. I'm like, okay. So I started looking it up and I'm like, I wonder if I could do my own show. And then it was born. Then it came to be. Because my YouTube was just my YouTube for a while. That I just posted a couple video game videos there for, I don't know, it wasn't even that much. Like, hell, it was maybe like 4 or 5 years ago or something. That's about it. And I'm like, I want to make a show. I wish I knew it was this easy to do it, because I would have started one a long time ago. I just didn't think all those other programs and stuff. It's like, dang. Yes, very neat. I love the ripples on it. The detail is awesome. All right, this is a couple articles I got from Kelt. Thank you. So this is dashboard and full screen. So this is all the related links. Wow, look at that. If anybody would like to have this, it's railroads.gov. Safety data. There's the link if you'd like to have that. Thank you for that, Kel. You know, it was so scary today. I went to the bank, and as I'm leaving the bank, I hear this train sign, or the train engine, blowing its horn and shit. And it was, oh my gosh, it was so creepy. Oh, there's another creepy thing too, but it was so creepy because I looked over at it, and guess what kind of freaking cars were flying down that track? And I kept looking at it, and it was one after another, after another, after another, after another, after another, after another. Ugh. And then I saw the vehicles that were like 4 or 5 feet from the train as it's flying by, and the truck and the car, and I'm just like, I hope nothing happens. And I'm glad I'm going the other way. And the chemicals have made it to Evansville. So we'll see what happens. There was a boat marina that put out a warning to everybody stating that the chemicals are showing up in the water and not to go in, not to allow their pets to go in, not to allow their pets to drink water, just, stay alert. And so I'm thinking about going to make a visit to the water plant, the water treatment facility tomorrow, maybe after work, or maybe sometime this weekend, and do a short little video down there, and maybe go look at the river myself and take a video of it. We'll see. Yeah. I mean, it's, once they said Ohio River and we started getting into it, you know, I'm honestly surprised it took this long. Or maybe it's just taken this long to be reported. Um but I'm surprised it took this long actually. I thought it I thought it would have been here by now, you know. This is another link that Kelt shared with me, and I'll go ahead and put this in the chat also. Why is it not showing it? No wonder it's been doing that every day. Now I clicked on view or share tab and it never switched over. I just watched it not even switch. Huh. This is from Kelt as well. Sherrod Brown, U.S. Senator for Ohio. His page. And residents in the East Palestine area, if you'd like to request air or water testing at your home, call the Residential Reentry Request Hotline, 330-849-3919, and you can also click there for information. Combustion of vinyl chloride can lead to the formation of dioxins. It was for the map. Oh, there's a map on here? And I think that's it. And then I got videos, press conferences, and all that stuff. So okay, that is just showing about the dioxins. Yes, through the Ohio River, SRB. Cincinnati, I don't know if you guys caught this, but when we started talking about the dead fish popping up and all that, that's when Cincinnati was saying that they were actually going to shut their intake valves of the water treatment plant in Cincinnati, so that way it didn't even enter into their treatment plant and none of the chemicals got in their system, is what they're hoping. And so they shut down their intake for a certain, I think it was like for 2 or 3 days. They shut down the water intake so that way it would hopefully let all those chemicals pass by. Now, I don't know if the water goes up that way, you know, to your area. Um, but yeah, it came through Ohio River. Yeah, and I mean, hell, let me go to this picture again, because where is it? Right here. So basically, all the way up there, up through here. So it's going to be hitting this area soon. In Missouri, where Illinois meets Missouri, if it ain't already, and then it's going to be heading down this way, but it's also going to go up this way. I mean, geez, look at this. It just, when this all could have been prevented. I don't know, Kelt. I was thinking about it, and it's like, I'm gonna be exposed to it anyway. If I am gonna be exposed, I'm gonna be exposed to it anyway. I can't take showers and baths with gallons of water from Walmart. I mean, I'm gonna come in contact with it at some point, I would assume. I appreciate that. I don't know. I'm just feeling like it's all we can do is exist, you know? That's all we can do. So I don't know. Yeah, there's no avoiding it, really. Uh, oh, you're funny, Cassie. No, it's not headed that way, Kid Kitty. You're fine. It's not even. It's not even. It might touch the border, but it's not even going to go past the border, according to this map. Now, the validity of it, but it looks pretty damn realistic to me. But I'm not a geographer or whatever you call them people. That shit was funny as hell. Cassie. All right. There's so much stuff to get into when it comes to this. So I'm just gonna watch. We're just gonna watch everything that we watch, and there's gonna be more. There's so much. I have 260 videos on this. And a lot of them are, a third of them are press conferences. So, I mean, there's no way we're going to get into all this tonight. So, we're just going to come out with the latest of what's newest. Check out a couple press conferences. I do want to see Buttigieg walking around, checking out the site. See what that's all about. Got to check a little bit out earlier while I was working here and there, but all right, here we go. East Palestine mom, we have new symptoms by the day. And let me throw this out there too. That shit was funny as hell, Cassie. There's no way I'm doing that though. It was good. I'm embarrassed today. Okay, I do have that. I got a shorter version. I have a longer version. So I got two different. So we'll go ahead and East Palestine mom, we have new symptoms by the day. I want to hear what these new symptoms are. Really? Oh, hold on.
We're still experiencing a lot of symptoms.
Is it working now? Here, let me go back.
She's a kindergarten teacher who's also suffering now from breathing problems. Heidi, first off, how are you and your daughter doing?
We're still experiencing a lot of symptoms. Sometimes we have new ones by the day. We have rashes, breathing issues, tightness in our chest, sore throats, scratchiness, burning in our mouths, severe headaches.
And none of these happened before the chemical spill.
No.
Wow.
I took my daughter to the emergency room twice, and they diagnosed her with irritated lungs due to chemical exposure. They gave her a breathing treatment, and they put her on a steroid and an inhaler, which she has never had to do a day in her life. She's a competitive athlete.
Wow. What do you need right now from the government and from Norfolk Southern that you're not getting?
Speak.
We need somebody who is going to address these medical issues, somebody who can point us in the right direction, somebody who's going to help us. They did set up a clinic here, but they're not allowed to prescribe anything. They're not really allowed to do any blood work, any urine tests, anything. As far as local hospitals, they're trying to treat us the best that they can, but
Why not?
they're not even sure what chemicals they are treating each individual for.
Oh,
So
yeah.
they treat it in a broad way, so to speak. So we need some actual medical experts who are willing to help us. And
as we understand it,
that
at
are
one
we going
point,
to be safe?
Yeah, at one point we understood that the clinic didn't even have doctors at it for at least a while.
What?
I want to play for you a shot from a soundbite from Joy Behar, who said something today on The View that I think a lot of liberals are thinking. She just had the guts, if you will, to say it out loud.
He placed someone with deep ties to the chemical industry in charge of the EPA's Chemical Safety Office. That's who you voted for in that district.
Whoa, hold
Donald
on.
Trump, who reduces all
What?
safety.
Sounds like she's almost blaming you.
What?
Yeah. I actually heard from a railroad member who was at our hotel that we stayed at that we should have been more prepared for something like this.
What?
Who is really prepared for something like this?
Wait, somebody
Not
from
this
Norfolk
little
Southern
village.
said that
We're
to you
not
guys?
even considered a town.
Somebody, what?
Yes, in our hotel.
Whoa. Somebody from the fucking railroad company told them and the families that they should have been more prepared for something like this. Are you fucking serious? Hold. You can't stand this woman, Coat?
She's almost blaming you.
Oh, the other. Okay.
Yeah. I actually heard from a
Oh,
railroad member who was at our hotel that we stayed at that we should have been more prepared for
Are
something
you
like this.
serious?
Who is really prepared for
Are
something
you
like this?
serious?
Wait,
Right,
somebody
Not
from
this
who?
little
Norfolk Southern
village.
said that
We're
to you
not
guys?
even considered a town. Yes,
She
in our
said
hotel.
yes.
And I'm guessing
She said yes. Someone from Norfolk Southern at their hotel said that.
Norfolk Southern isn't paying for the hotel. You're having to pay for that on your own.
They did reimburse us for the time span that we were there. But when you start to run out of funds, you have to come home eventually. So we are back in our home.
Is there any hope, if you will, for you?
So they reimbursed you that way you didn't take advantage of being safe. Interesting. Which would be even more reason that you would need the $1,000 check. Boy, they are fucking crafty, aren't they?
And especially for your daughter's health condition.
Those are some slick son of a bitches.
If they clean up the soil and they clean up the streams, are you all going to get better, or do you just kind of have to roll the dice?
I feel like it's a crapshoot. I feel like we're rolling the dice. I don't know. Nobody has been able to tell us for sure. Nobody credible anyway. They keep telling us, you're safe, you're fine, but yet we have all of these problems that we never had before this happened. So
all right.
I'm not optimistic.
Wow.
I can understand why you're not. We're going to keep checking in on you, Heidi, and your daughter, and stay on the story. We appreciate you talking to us, all right?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's so sad. Wow. Somebody from Norfolk Southern told them that they should have been more prepared. And then they reimburse you, so you have to use your own money to pay for the hotel, so you can only be there for a limited time before you have to go back to an unsafe environment. And then they push the $1,000 check on you when you need it the most because you used your own money for the hotel and you ran out of money, so you had to go back home, and then you're waiting for a reimbursement. You never know when you're going to get the reimbursement, so you're going to take the $1,000 check real quick so you can hurry up and cover whatever expenses you used to keep yourself safe for a couple days. They are fucking smart. That really makes me angry. That they want to manipulate people like that. And then you tell them that they should have been more prepared. I hope this rail company gets fucking slammed for this shit. I hope.
Yeah, the folks that do it are very talented. There's basically simultaneous charges, one on the bottom, one on the top, correct? And that allows for the product to flow out and basically not explode.
Which is the whole point. And then what do you think are the main things we can learn just from having access to this? You know, NTSB wise versus FRA wise versus mental. Like, do we have analytics that might benefit us to this? Things we don't think we've already know. Is the science straightforward enough that really it's more just kind of an incident?
Paul was saying you guys you get drone footage initially, and then you compare all the measurements you do by hand with drone footage to see what happened before the fire, but after the crash, and then what happened after the fire.
So we use that drone footage for context. After these cars decontaminated in the staging area, now they're ready for hot work. If we needed to cut in parts off of the cars, we came in yesterday. We did some detailed measurements of all the damage, so we documented it all. If you notice on this car, the pressure plate housing has been removed. We have this currently stored in the trailer right now. We want to examine the pressure devices on all of the cars around the tower. There's only a strip of
the idea is to test the performance.
Yeah, make sure that they were working. See if there was
What a joke.
suggest why they stopped
Compliance wise, would there be anything we do from that that would properly operate? Or is our basically satisfied? It's one question.
Yeah, as far as we know, they were compliant. Looking at the wreckage, this is something that our team does. We assess a lot of these derailments that involve tank cars. We have a database of all the tank car damage. That way we can look at performance, whether it be good or bad. We need to use that data to help provide regulation for improvement. Like we have the data to support it. So that's why we were here, and that's why we assess, once again, collecting more data for our database.
there is a thermal performance in these tank cars. How long should they survive it?
Just kind of
We're comparing
And I hope they get slammed. Seriously.
standard requires them to maintain lading retention for at least 100 minutes in the pool. At least way past that. We're looking at 68 hours.
they held up.
Of the tank cars, the hazmat tank cars, the only ones that failed were 111.
Yes, that's right.
Those are the ones that
The legacy cars that
are
are
get phased out.
Yeah. The
That's
legacy
how-
cars that are due to be phased out, those are the cars that failed.
So the legacy cars that were due to be phased out were the ones that failed.
Of the tank cars, the hazmat tank cars, the only ones that failed were 111.
Yes, that's right.
Those are the ones that
The legacy cars that
are
are
get phased out.
Yeah. The
That's
legacy
how-
cars that are due to be phased out, those are the cars that failed. There was some 117s in this derailment.
They were fine.
They're fine.
So, I'm kind of interested in what we can do to speed that up.
Yeah. 2029 for these other flammable liquids is the phase out.
So I think part of what you see here is, regardless of what kind of tank or gases are in, if there's even one car on the train that's not at a high standard, it's flammable, the rest is at risk, right?
Yes, it is. So you can have a cascading,
Which
failure
could
from
happen
one tank to
Duh.
That was a concern with these GCM cars.
Sure.
That, if one should it fail, it could induce failures in the other four, but it would be totally out of control.
Survived a 47-mile-an-hour crash, or maybe a little bit less, but couldn't survive 2 days of sitting in fire.
Yeah.
Right. And potentially having the valve, pressure leak valve.
So why
That's
would
sent to Texas and being analyzed.
We'll send our people down there along with this is the tank car manufacturer's facility. And when the trailer, the parts gets down there, we'll be there to open it. And then FRA is going to be part of our inspection.
So we still have access to the
Yes.
stuff that you should have. Is there anything else that needs to be on site for you to learn from before the stuff all gets cut up and shipped out?
At this point, I think at this point we're satisfied. We did a lot of that work yesterday. We completed a lot of it yesterday, and of course the weeks prior, and right after the derailment, we went through the pilot in situ. Over here, got all of that done. I think at this point we're satisfied with what we have. I think the plan will be tomorrow to
Where's my closed captioning?
The measurements, analysis, inspection of the cars. That was planned for over a week and a half, because decontamination had happened. And we wouldn't be able to be here.
we can only do so much until there's been decontaminated. Sometimes we find it necessary to cut plates out for testing or certain parts. And in this case, we're taking the pressure plates from the top housing. You'll notice on all of the DCM parts.
National Transportation Safety Board.
from not without notice on all of the
Don't worry, I rewound it.
Is anything that's now still
You're welcome.
an air hazard? It's volatile, or is the concern more what's in it?
So while we were in here working, we had air monitoring, live air monitoring following.
Why are none of these people where I mean okay. I don't know, that's weird. I just thought about that. Like why where's their they're not even worried? That's weird.
They did not mind.
You definitely, it's in the air.
Yeah, you can smell a little odor if you will accolade that car.
That
Is
paint
right,
like
it's that
Yeah.
car right next to this one. It has a very low odor threshold. Lays on that low heat and makes it not
I see.
It's a very smell.
What's that going to?
Unilaterally, these are paints, precursors that that's used in
I would think.
That's one of the challenges I would think from a response perspective is there's things that you smell that maybe aren't at that threshold. And there's probably also things you can't smell that can hurt you.
That's the problem.
And hard hats.
Yeah, so vinyl chloride has a negative threshold that's higher than
So it can hurt you way before you
you can't smell it.
Did you hear that?
not just in terms of carcinogen.
Vinyl chloride hurts you before you can even smell it. Wow.
That's one of the challenges I would think from a response perspective is there's things that you can smell that maybe aren't at that threshold. And there's probably also things you can't smell that can hurt you.
That's the problem with this. Yeah, so,
He said that's the problem with
vinyl
this.
chloride has a negative threshold that's higher than
So it can hurt you way before
you can't smell it.
You can't.
That was the thing.
Oh my gosh,
Not
what
just
the
in terms
hell
of
is going
carcinogen
on in the
effect,
background?
in terms of chemical.
And why isn't closed captioning working? Come on. Probably because all the shit going on in the background. They should have had like actual mics on these people if they were going to do this.
What's that going to?
Unilaterally, these are paints, precursors that that's used.
Where's this closed captioning coming from? That's not even what he's saying. Come on, YouTube. Where'd it go? Applause?
That's one of the challenges I would think from a response perspective is there's things you smell that maybe aren't at that threshold. And there's probably also things you can't smell that can hurt you.
That's the problem with this. Yeah,
That's the problem with this.
vinyl chloride
Has fingers? No, he said odor, not fingers.
So it can hurt you way before you
you can't smell it.
What is this closed captioning?
not just in terms of carcinogen effect, but in terms of chemical.
The acute exposure. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Good news is no.
Basically, he was saying, I got little snippets, that it hurts you way before you even smell it. That's interesting to know. That's weird. I didn't realize that some of these chemicals could hurt you before you even smell it. Because I would assumed you would smell it as soon as the chemical was there, but not according to this gentleman. Yeah, the closed caption is on. That's the thing. But it was like saying shit that it wasn't even saying, like bathrooms and applause and fingers. I don't know. It's YouTube is acting. It's just crazy. I don't understand it. They're like the biggest platform out there. Who knows? I don't know. It's hard to hear.
Jones been reported with sentencing, but
I have not received that in the website myself. EPA, Health Department.
that's
That could include things
I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit.
We've got no insulation jacket, no insulation. It's just steel tank. 7/16.
it's just one layer.
One layer. This is it.
They're all one layer, dude.
This material is
One wall.
lesser strength than the newer 117 cars, and this is what a head impact looks like. This car was actually equipped with what's referred to as a half-height head shield. So essentially, you can see the bracketry here. So it's only half the height. So what that head shield's on there for is to prevent if there'd be a coupler overpass. So when the cars are coupling up, one would override the other. So it won't puncture the head. So that's why the head shield's only low. And there are some requirements for those to be on the car
Based on what?
based on the product that it's carrying. And
This
this,
was it?
this is the golf car. This is
Man, that's driving me nuts. I'm gonna switch to something.
Combustible liquid. Yeah.
This material is very.
I'll put the link in chat.
So to me, I mean, this is an example of where a lot of the focus
All right.
is on the gas.
I'm gonna switch to another video. I'll put the link in chat if you'd like to check out the
Five
video.
pictures right now from East Palestine continuance. One for more
You're
than
welcome. That thing
an hour.
is just so
These people
noisy.
are quite angry. The head of the National Transportation Safety Board says they have a reason to be angry. The East Palestine derailment could have been prevented.
I get frustrated because what happens is everybody jumps to those solutions, and then when we issue our final report, we get ignored.
They do indeed. And the companies that would have to implement those final solutions lobby against them. If you want to prevent another tragedy, holding companies like Norfolk Southern accountable is to start. Here's what we learned from the NTSB. The train braked hard after receiving an overheating alert. The train was carrying 115,000 gallons of vinyl chloride. It causes all sorts of really bad cancers. And the train was actually traveling below the speed limit at the time of the derailment. The focus of the investigation is on one wheel bearing on the 23rd car of a train that was 2 miles long. NTSB says the temperatures rose to 215 degrees in 30 miles.
Whoa.
The wheel bearing overheated, failed, and then we had the derailment. Ultimately, the NTSB report told us much of what we already knew. Companies and regulators do indeed need to do more. Jim Hall's here, former chair of the NTSB. Good to see you, sir. We appreciate it. Look, regulation only goes so far, right? Regulation's the bare minimum. If Norfolk Southern and others wanted to do more and spend more money, they could.
We live in a capitalistic system. I'm a capitalist. I'm all for it. But if you don't have the government to provide regulation, you're not going to have safety. And a government regulation can only go so far. The company itself has to have a culture of safety, which Norfolk Southern used to have. It used to be a leader in railroad safety. And they these companies like Boeing and Norfolk Southern get so involved in profits and buybacks that benefit only the executives that you see what happened in this decade. You had the country went to sea. The government, the lobbyists took over.
Yeah.
They stole self-regulation on Washington to the Congress members who all liked it while they were collecting their campaign contributions. And now we have both the Boeing Max and we have this situation. The difference in this situation is important to your viewers. The railroads own the tracks. This goes back to the period after the Civil War with railroad barons. They own those tracks. They're responsible for them. We're familiar with highways, right? Where the federal, state, local government is a player. Or the airspace, where the FAA is the regulator. Here, it is almost self-regulation because if the railroads don't spend the money for safe tracks, this is what happens. Yet at the same time, we permit them to have 2-mile trains of unsafe chemicals going through each and every community in this country.
Yeah, I'm glad you made the point about each and every community, because you think it can't happen where you are. Find a railroad track in your hometown or behind your kid's school, and that railroad trains with these same chemicals, with these same lax regulations, traveling on it.
Somehow we have forgotten in this country, we have a responsibility to each other, not just blaming each other.
Well said. I got one last question I want to get into. At the top of the show, we made the point that we've started to worry about the wrong things. Norfolk Southern in profits, Boeing in profits. You make a great point. Norfolk Southern's taken on the whole environmental, social justice, and governance issues as one of their primary objectives. They issue reports on it. They're not focused as much in their reporting on safety. And then Pete Buttigieg, the Secretary of Transportation, before he came to East Palestine, had time to talk about this at the National Association of Counties.
We have heard way too many stories from generations past of infrastructure where you got a neighborhood, often a neighborhood of color, that finally sees the project come to them, but everyone in the hard hats on that project looking like, doing the good paying jobs, don't look like they came from anywhere near the neighborhood.
I got 15, 20 seconds. You're a lifelong Democrat. Is it fair to blame Pete Buttigieg and President Biden on this?
What?
I blame all these politicians that race to the cameras and don't do a damn thing in their jobs.
All right. Well, that encompasses just about every politician I've ever known, sir. So it's good to see you. We appreciate the honesty, Mr. Hall. Talk to you soon.
I doubt it.
Thanks.
I don't know about that. That was crazy. All right. I want to check out Kelt. I want to ask you, is there a difference between, okay, so I got a couple different sources here. It's 54 minutes. And then I got one that's like 29 or something. Where is that? I saved it. Where in the hell did it go? There it is. There's a 26-minute one and a 54-minute one. The 26-minute one is probably... Were they late? Let me see. Maybe they were late.
Was there any wrongdoing on Norfolk Southern's part? We'll have to evaluate that during.
So was this just the questions? Okay. Well, we probably should go into the whole thing then, I imagine. I don't know. If anybody knows if this one from Reuters... Yeah, let's watch the whole thing then. NTSB Gov. We'll go ahead and watch that one. So let me get the link for that. I do want to hear what they have to say. I'm excited here. I've been wanting to watch this one, and there was another one that I saw come up too I wanted to watch, and I think that one's only like 15 minutes or something. NTSB or NTSB.gov. And if anybody knows any 8-ball pool games that we can play on PC and phone, tablet and PC, let me know. Okay, NTSB.gov.
All right, thank you for joining us. As Jennifer said, my name is Jennifer Homendy, and I'm the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board. With me today is Rob Hall. He is the director of our Office of Rail, Pipelines, and Hazardous Materials Investigations. I want to start with addressing the people of East Palestine. I am so sorry for the traumatic event that you're going through. It's devastating. Over the course of my career, and I've handled rail and pipeline and hazmat for well over 25 years, both Rob and I have sat with communities, with residents after devastating rail, pipeline, hazardous materials releases. We've talked to community members who are suffering health effects, have pets who've died, have damage to businesses and homes. But I can tell you this much, this was 100% preventable. We call things accidents. There is no accident. Every single event that we investigate is preventable. So our hearts are with you. Know that the NTSB has one goal, and that is safety and ensuring that this never happens again. So with that, the NTSB has been on the ground since day one. We completed our investigative work on scene, our on-scene work, yesterday. But we still have a lot of work to do as part of this investigation. So today, I'm announcing that the NTSB will hold a rare investigative field hearing this spring in East Palestine. We don't have investigative hearings often. It is rare, but we will question invited witnesses. Now our goals, we have 4 goals for conducting a investigative field hearing. Number 1, inform the public. Number 2, collect factual information from witnesses. Number 3, discuss possible solutions. And number 4, build consensus for change. As you know, we also released this morning our preliminary report on the derailment. The report does not contain a probable cause that comes at the end of the investigation. It contains only factual information collected during the on-scene portion of this investigation. What I want to focus on today is what we know so far. I want to talk about our investigative process, and then I want to share some information generally about rail safety. We know for a fact that this derailment occurred at car number 23. This train had 3 locomotives, 2 at the head end. The lead locomotive had 3 crew members, including 1 trainee. The third locomotive was between rail cars 109 and 110. There were also 149 rail cars on the train. Car number 23 was a hopper car, which carried plastic pellets. It was the combination of the hot axle and the plastic pellets which started the initial fire. Now, the train passed 3 wayside defect detectors, which identify overheated bearings and provide an audible warning to train crews. At each detector, the recorded temperature of the bearing increased from 38 degrees Fahrenheit above the ambient temperature, which at the time was 10 degrees Fahrenheit, to 103 degrees above ambient just 10 miles later. Both of those temperatures are considered by Norfolk Southern to be non-critical. The critical threshold per Norfolk Southern is above 200 degrees ambient. Upon passing the third detector with a temperature of 253 degrees above ambient, that's critical, 253 degrees above ambient, a critical audible alarm message sounded, instructing the crew to slow and stop the train to inspect the hot axle, and if warranted, to set car number 23 out. Now, NTSB investigators at this time have not identified any operational issues with the wayside defect detectors, but we're still looking at them. There's also no evidence of track defects. The engineer at the time was following another train and was already in dynamic braking to slow behind the train. So he increased the brake application to further slow and stop the train, meaning he responded immediately. We have no evidence that the crew did anything wrong. And during this deceleration, the wheel bearing failed. Car number 23 derailed, and the train initiated an emergency brake application and came to a stop. So the emergency brake application was triggered by the derail. Now, in total, 38 cars derailed, and a fire ensued, which damaged an additional 12 cars. On February 5th, responders mitigated the fire, but five cars, which are designated as 105, DOT 105 specification tank cars, were located near the number 23, which derailed. So we had the 5 vinyl chloride cars. 4 of them were at 26, 27, 28, and 29, and the 5th one was at 53. They were carrying well over 115,000 gallons of vinyl chloride. Now, that continued to concern authorities because the temperature inside one of the tank cars was increasing, which could result in a catastrophic explosion. The critical point is 180 degrees, and at the time, one of the cars was reading 140 degrees. As you know, the responders then scheduled a controlled venting of the 5 vinyl chloride tank cars to release and burn the vinyl chloride. The NTSB had no role in the decision-making or carrying out of the vent and burn. And I want to repeat that. We are not part of the decision-making or the carrying out of the vent and burn. The Federal Railroad Administration has guidance for how to conduct vent and burns. So as part of our investigation, we will evaluate whether the vent and burn was carried out according to that guidance and whether that guidance needs to be updated. With respect to the tank cars, transporting the hazmat, the train consist, that's the list of what's included in the train by car, included 20 hazmat tank cars transporting combustible liquids, mostly lubricants and cooking oil, flammable gas, and the vinyl chloride. 17 of those 20 tank cars were fully loaded. 3 were residue cars. All of those cars were placarded, though the placards were plastic and melted. Aluminum also melts. So we are looking at that situation, and we'll determine whether we recommend something else that could protect placards. Placards are there to tell emergency responders what is on a tank car and what the dangers are to themselves and to others. They are critical in response and in protecting the community. Yesterday, our investigators conducted a detailed damage assessment of the tank cars, including identifying and measuring breaching damages, noting where entire lading was lost, the condition of pressure relief devices, and other service equipment, underframes, and welded attachments. They also secured the top fittings on the vinyl chloride tank cars, including the pressure relief devices, and we're sending those to Texas to be tested. The wheel bearing from car number 23 has also been collected, and that will come to NTSB headquarters. We have a recorder laboratory, and we also have a materials laboratory that will come to our materials laboratory. So here's what we're focused on in this investigation: the wheel set and the bearing. Roller bearings typically last the life of a wheel set, but they do have a finite life, typically between 100,000 and 300,000 miles. There are a number of causes for overheated roller bearings. These could include fatigue cracking, water damage, mechanical damage, a loose bearing, or a wheel defect, and we will look at all that. We will look at rail car design and maintenance practices of Norfolk Southern, as well as Norfolk Southern's inspection procedures. We'll also look at any history of prior accidents involving car number 23 and this wheel set. We'll look at tank car design and derailment damage. The 105 vinyl chloride cars were insulated, which actually helped at the beginning. There are federal regulations which state that that car needs to be able to be cooled for 100 minutes. We all know the fire lasted well longer than the 100 minutes. What that means is after that time, the insulation actually kept the cars from cooling. So we're going to look at that. Also, 15 DOT 111 tank cars were transporting hazmat. Those were on the train. Now, why does that matter? Because current law requires certain DOT 111s transporting Class 3 flammable materials only to be retrofitted or replaced with DOT 117 tank cars. I'm sorry, replaced, not retrofitted. Replaced with DOT 117 tank cars. Of those 3, 2 did not breach. 1 lost the entire lading. Now, it's important to note that the damages to all 15 111 tank cars, including the ones that are not captured in current law, were typical of DOT 111 performance we've noted in numerous previous accident investigations. So we're going to look at the 111 tank cars as well. In the course of the investigation, we'll also look at Norfolk Southern's use of wayside defect detectors. We're going to look at the spacing of those detectors, whether information is or should be monitored in real time with data trending from a control center. And we'll look at the temperature thresholds, which indicate immediate action once an overheated bearing is detected. Again, spacing and temperature are set by the railroads and vary considerably by railroads. We'll also look at how crews are alarmed and the instructions for responding.
Damn, it sounds to me like they're really gonna get into this one, and thank God. I mean, are you guys getting the same impression? Is that what you were talking about earlier, Coat? Like, she's about it. That's what I'm feeling.
To those alarms. Now, roller bearings fail, but it's absolutely critical for problems to be identified and addressed early so these aren't run until failure. I'm going to quote a report from the Transportation Safety Board of Canada in a 2013 report which looked at wayside defect detectors and roller bearings. They said, it is recognized in the railway industry that wheel set roller bearings can fail catastrophically in as few as 10 to 15 miles on a train traveling at track speed. We'll also look at how crews are alarmed and the instructions for responding to those alarms. We'll also look at Norfolk Southern's use of wayside defect detectors. We're going to look at the spacing of those detectors, whether information is or should be monitored in real time with data trending from a control center. And we'll look at the temperature thresholds, which indicate immediate action once an overheated bearing is detected. Again, spacing and temperature are set by the railroads and vary considerably by railroads. We'll also look at how crews are alarmed and the instructions for responding to those alarms. Now, roller bearings fail, but it's absolutely critical for problems to be identified and addressed early so these aren't run until failure. I'm going to quote a report from the Transportation Safety Board of Canada in a 2013 report which looked at wayside defect detectors and roller bearings. They said, it is recognized in the railway industry that wheel set roller bearings can fail catastrophically in as few as 10 to 15 miles on a train traveling at track speed. You cannot wait until they've failed. Problems need to be identified early, so something catastrophic like this does not occur again. This, of course, was much earlier than 10 to 15 miles, so we're going to look at that. Finally, we're going to look at the accident response, including how responders and the public received information prior to and right after the derailment. An informed public can be prepared to implement protective actions when accidents occur. While the general public may not require detailed information, such as the specific numbers, dates and times of hazmat tank cars traveling on any route. They need to know, absolutely deserve to know, whether they live or work near a hazmat route. They also need to be aware of the hazards associated with releases, what railroads will do to prevent accidents and mitigate consequences, how to recognize and respond to an emergency, what protective action to take in the event of a hazmat release, and how to contact railroads and federal authorities regarding specific concerns, and that should also include these. Now, we've issued a number of recommendations, rail safety recommendations. These are recommendations to improve rail safety following tragedies. Some of these recommendations go toward urging railroads to work with communities on the emergency planning, on routing, what should be routed and not routed through communities, and what information the general public and emergency responders need and deserve. So now I'm going to move into what is the NTSB's process. We are still in the fact-finding phase. You might say, what takes so long? We know what derailed the train. We have a lot of questions. In the initial stages of any investigation, we often receive information that's inaccurate. So we have to ask a lot of questions. And those questions create more questions. So we dig deep. We are very methodical in our investigative process. That takes time. Now, in this fact-finding phase, we have what we call parties to an investigation. These are groups of people who can help us gather the facts after a terrible tragedy. In this one, we have the US DOT's Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, the Federal Railroad Administration, Ohio State Highway Patrol, the Village of East Palestine, Norfolk Southern Railway, Trinity Industries Leasing Company, GATX Corporation, those two deal with rail cars, manufacturing of rail cars. And we have 4 unions, the Brotherhood of Railway Carmen, the International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers, the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers and Trainmen, and we just added the International Association of Firefighters. Now, these entities help us gather the facts around investigations. There's an advantage to that for them, too. They get the facts when we get the facts, and they can take immediate action to improve safety. They do not have to wait for the end of our investigation and should not wait. We expect them to act. Once the fact finding is concluded, which takes a few months, then everyone will agree on the facts. That will go into factual reports, which will be included in our public docket. Then we will go into our analysis phase. None of those entities are part of the analysis phase. They cannot. The NTSB is an independent federal entity, and we need to remain independent. So we conduct the analysis of those facts, and we issue safety recommendations in a final report, as well as findings, the probable cause or causes, because there could be contributing causes. And for this one, it'll probably be 12 to 18 months from now. But here's what I'm going to say to the communities, because you might be saying, what takes so long? Again, it takes a long time. We are very deliberative. We are the gold standard when it comes to investigations globally. And we are methodical in our approach. But if we see a safety issue that we need addressed immediately, something systemic, we will not hesitate to issue an urgent safety recommendation. We did that just a few months ago, and FAA acted on that immediately, so that process works. And we will not hesitate to do it again, especially in this one. So with that, there is a lot more work to do. So I'm just going to pledge to the community and to others, we never go away. Our whole goal is to improve safety, to issue safety recommendations to prevent this so East Palestine and other communities never experience this again. We will work then, after those safety recommendations are issued, to get those recommendations implemented. There are recommendations we have consistently worked on for 50 years. Positive train control is a great example. We don't give up, and we won't give up on this one. So thank you. I'm going to take questions. Please raise your hand and state your name and your affiliation.
Hey.
Yes.
The fact that the crew didn't try to stop the train until it reached that critical stage, does that suggest a system-wide failure, that they weren't alerted, but didn't react sooner, that the crew didn't try to stop the train until it reached that critical stage?
and other communities never experience this again. We will work then, after those safety recommendations are issued, to get those recommendations implemented. There are recommendations we have consistently worked on for 50 years. Positive train control is a great example. We don't give up, and we won't give up on this one. So thank you. I'm gonna take questions. Please raise your hand and state your name and your affiliation.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Sheldon Ingram, WTAE-TV, Pittsburgh's Action News 4. The fact that the crew didn't try to stop the train until it reached that critical stage, does that suggest a system-wide failure, that they weren't alerted or didn't react sooner than when it reached 253 degrees?
So the question is, why did the crew not react after the first two waste detectors, where it was identified 38 degrees above ambient temperature, which was 10 degrees at the time, and then 103 degrees. They did not react till 253. Those two initial temperatures are designated by Norfolk Southern as non-critical. The information they receive is they don't have to do anything. So they were following procedures. Once they got the critical alarm of
Hold on a minute. They don't at what temperatures?
That the crew didn't try to stop the train until it reached that critical stage. Does that suggest a system-wide failure, that they weren't alerted or didn't react sooner than when it reached 253 degrees?
So the question is, why did the crew not react after the first two wayside detectors, where it was identified 38 degrees above ambient temperature, which was 10 degrees at the time, and then 103 degrees? They did not react till 253. Those two initial temperatures are designated by Norfolk Southern as non-critical. The information they receive is they don't have to do anything. So they were following procedures. Once they got the critical alarm of 253, they took immediate action.
In your estimation, does that warning threshold have to change?
We're going to look at, so the question is, does that warning threshold have to change? The warning threshold is set by railroads. And again, it varies by railroad.
Wow.
We're going to look at that and see if that threshold should change. That's going to be one of our priorities in this investigation. Tom.
It varies by railroad? What? So the railroads can determine their own critical temperature? Are you serious?
The critical alarm of 253, they took immediate action.
In your estimation, does that warning threshold have to change?
We're going to look at, so the question is, does that warning threshold have to change? The warning threshold is set by railroads. And again, it varies by railroad.
Wow.
We're going to look at that and see if that threshold should have changed.
Why is there not a set?
That's going to be one of our priorities.
How about starting today? How about from here on out, every railroad, if you reach 100 and whatever, I don't know, some universal degree of Fahrenheit, like tonight, because who says this isn't going to happen tonight too? Why are we waiting?
Priorities in this investigation. Tom.
Tom Costello with NBC News. Is there any suggestion yet what actually caused overheating? So
by railroad companies, they get to determine their own.
The question is, what was causing the overheating of the bearing and therefore the axle? It's a great question, and it's something we have to look at as part of this investigation. Right now, we've collected information that we need on scene, the type of information that goes away when we release.
Unfortunately, it's going to take like a year or two.
Exactly what we have to look at. I'll tell you one thing. We have one of our incredibly skilled investigators looking for other cameras along the route, just to see if we could see other things. There was that one video that was aired. We want to see if there are other ones, because what we're getting from the defect detectors, we want to make sure, does that match up? So we're digging into that. Amanda. Was it too late by the time they were notified of 253 degrees Fahrenheit? And is that something that should be set by the government? I will tell you that had there been a detector earlier, it would not have, that derailment may not have occurred.
It was on fire.
But that's something we have to look at. And we'll have to look at lack of federal regulation, see if there's any guidance from the Association of American Railroads on that and what they follow. But that is definitely something we have to look at
Right.
because there is a great amount of variance between different railroads. Does that answer your question? Alan?
All right, thank you very much, Alan Levin, Bloomberg News.
But I don't think she was talking about the regions. I think she said the actual railroad companies themselves get to determine, which is what happened here. They should have, it obviously should have stopped a lot earlier with it carrying those kind of chemicals. Whatever region it's in, it should have been stopped earlier. And the temperature threshold or whatever the warning temperature needs to be lowered, whatever it is, because if that was their, I don't know, it just seems like railroad companies, it just seems like railroad companies are getting to determine whatever they want. You know, she had mentioned something earlier about there's no standards with the rail system. So basically, these rail companies are getting to determine what's safe, what's not safe, what's required. I don't know. Like Kelt said earlier, the Wild West when it comes to this rail system. I don't know. It's not very comforting, especially when you see these things flying by, you know, in your neighborhood. It makes you want, I mean, shit, the water just showed up in Evansville. Yay. Shit's real.
Do you want to answer that, Rob? I'm going to not stumble over here. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
We do not have
go over here.
Sorry. We don't have any current recommendations on those. I would point out that the hot box detector would not be causal. The cause is the bearing overheating. There are other detectors as well in addition to hot box. They do use acoustic detectors to detect noisy bearings, which is another indication of a failure.
Huh. Interesting. Not just the hot box.
At least not in the last decade.
Blair Miller, Fox Media Group, NBC. Talk about testing of the equipment, whether it's in Texas or here. How important, how key will that be in your investigation?
The question is how important the testing of the different components that we have identified for further evaluation, how key that is to our investigation. Incredibly key. We want to see what caused that wheel bearing to fail. And then we want to see how those top fittings performed on the vinyl chloride tank cars. So that will be key to our, those will be key to our investigation. I am.
I saw a report this morning that 95-degree difference between the bearings on each side of the train is a common threshold. It looks like so then set that at 115. I think there was potentially a greater than 95-degree difference in the second test.
So it's a measurement of the different sides of the train. So the different wheel bearings, and it's the difference between the two, which Norfolk Southern sets at 150, greater than 115.
There you go, right there.
So the 103 would not have been critical for them.
So it compares both axles.
That's what we have to look at.
And the difference.
Again, each railroad sets a different threshold.
Yep, right there.
And we've seen different variances. I mentioned that Transport Canada report from 2013. CP&C, Transport Canada notes the differences between how Canadian Pacific and Canadian National designate their thresholds and designate where wayside detectors are.
Wow. Just like it is here.
Maybe paint a picture for us. Is this a box, an infrared box on the side of the tracks that the train goes by? I guess I'm trying to visualize how exactly this works.
Good question.
A box with an infrared scanner that is reading the undercarriage of the train. Is that accurate?
Yeah, it actually points up, but I will let our experts.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. That's essentially what it is. In this case, it was down on the ground pointing up.
The train goes over the top of it.
Over the top of it.
Wow.
In some of these wayside detectors, not here, they're actually a shed that the train drives through, which protects everything from the elements. But there are a number of different types of detectors. Again, it's something that's not
Huh,
regulated.
not regulated.
And is it using an infrared?
What the hell,
Help me
government?
make sure we're using the right language here. How,
That's my understanding, is that it's
We're
infrared-based.
transporting all these chemicals and nothing is regulated?
Yes. Then we'll go over here. The question is, was there any wrongdoing on Norfolk Southern's part? We'll have to evaluate that during our analysis.
Nothing
Once we have all the
is
facts,
regulated.
we will look at the analysis. I think
You know what I'm afraid of is that they're gonna get away with so much shit because certain things aren't regulated. I just got this eerie feeling they're gonna get away with a lot of shit because of this.
We'll do our own analysis. The advantage to having the Federal Railroad Administration and the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration as parties to our investigation is they have enforcement authority. They are getting the factual information when we are getting the factual information, so they can take action on enforcement. They'll know.
It seems from your report and what you said here that the engineer braked and then the automatic emergency braking kicked in, and then they got out and visually saw that the train had derailed and that there was a fire. Was there no other way for them to be alerted that the train had derailed and that there was a fire, which seemed to have happened before they got out of the train?
So the question is on the sequence of events. Once the train crew was alerted to the high temperature, they get an alert in the locomotive cab. In this situation, they were already in braking mode because of a train in front of them. So they began to slow the train and stop the train, but then the derailment occurred, and that engaged the emergency brake application. The notification comes directly to the cab of the locomotive and tells them. We're going to look at the notifications and how that comes across and Norfolk Southern's policies and for notification to rail crews. I will tell you it's standard. Rail crews disconnected the locomotive from the cars that were burning and moved up about a mile to protect themselves. That is standard as part of railroad operations. The question is, what gives me the certainty that this was 100% preventable? We've never seen an accident that isn't preventable. And I actually think that I don't like the word accident. I hate to use it. Nothing is an accident. And so, when it comes to prevention, it could be actions on the railroad's part for maybe not having more conservative policies on thresholds, or it could be some
But they're
sort
not
of
gonna be held
problem with the
to
wheel
it.
bearing that could have been addressed earlier. Those are just
This is
examples.
sad.
We don't know that yet. We are still conducting our fact-finding portion of the investigation, but we will know that at some point. That's when we issue the probable cause. And there's often not just one probable cause, which is this derailed. It's usually a number of contributing factors that contribute, a number of factors that contributed to that derailment.
Quick follow-up if I may. I was just wondering if you talked about the level of cooperation with different parties. I know that in certain instances, sometimes they are that you issue subpoenas. Is that something that you want to see?
So the question is, what is the cooperation between the NTSB and the parties to our investigation, and whether we foresee having to issue subpoenas? At this time, I don't foresee having to issue subpoenas. We are having excellent cooperation with all the parties to our investigation. We're getting what we've asked for thus far. So far, so good. That can always change. But we do have an established relationship with all these entities, and we are hopeful that will continue throughout the course of this investigation.
Good question.
I mean, we'll look at the question is why so many cars derailed, 38 derailed in the accident scenario. This is something we've seen before. There are different forces in play when a train is braking and moving, and we often see bunching up of rail cars. This is, unfortunate But yes, that's what we see.
What specifically are you investigating preventable, both for the accident and for the impact?
What are we investigating that's preventable? Pretty much everything about this accident. It's everything from the wheel bearing to the rail cars to the tank cars to the actions of federal entities or inaction of federal entities. We'll look at state entities. We'll look at locals. Especially with emergency response and information they did or did not have, likely did not have. And we'll look at Norfolk Southern, their policies. So there are often a lot of considerations in what goes into what is preventable. There is usually far more than one thing.
Madam Chair, can I ask two quick questions? One of them, I'm wondering, did the crew know that the temperature was increasing when they went over the first two hot box detectors? Is there any reading for them telling
Good
them
question. I'll put the link to this video in chat as well.
to the level of alert? That's the first question. The second one is, you, of course, are an investigative body and you offer recommendations. You are not a regulator. You can't force change on any participant. And yet this has
Good
been
question.
an industry that you have tried for many years to bring a little bit more regulatory safety controls, and then Congress has a time.
Come on, bro. You should.
undermine those initiatives
How is she
that the
supposed to
DOD
answer all
and previous
that?
administrations have tried to enact. I'm just wondering your level of frustration. You say you're committed to going forward here.
I'd be
Your level
like,
of
what's the
frustration
first
that this has
question
been,
again?
In many ways, something that
Jeez.
for decades you, the FRA, Congress has looked at, and yet not a lot of progress. So again, those two questions, if you don't mind.
I'm going to let you answer the first one. If you can repeat the question, then I'll do the second one.
Did the crew have any knowledge that the temperature was rising as they went over the first two hot box detectors?
The detectors, the way that they're designed, will provide a radio announcement.
Wow.
And so the radio in the cab would indicate that there is an issue. There's a number of things in the radio announcement that occurs. Anything from no defects to the total number of axles. It would have announced
just kept going.
the temperatures at this particular axle and told them which axle it was from the front.
Just an automated computer voice.
So they
Yes.
would have known.
Yes.
This is your speed, or this is the temperature rather, and
Yes.
it did not yet rise to a critical level.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that. And again, your
I-
thoughts about the other issue.
And I was asked about my thoughts on the level of frustration on our rail safety recommendations. We don't have the authority to act on recommendations. We issue safety recommendations to the entities that might be involved. It could be Norfolk Southern, could be FRA, could be the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, could be railcar companies. We'll just have to see who that is. I want to just talk a little. Let me back up a little bit on this because I do want to highlight numbers. I've seen this 1096 number out there on derailments. That includes class ones, the commuter railroads, the Amtrak, and the short line railroads. If you're just looking at the class one freight railroads, and I looked at this myself just the other night, confirmed it with FRA. If you're just looking at derailments, it's in 2021 for class one freight railroads. So it's the major railroads. We're talking Norfolk Southern, CSX, BNSF, UP, CN, CP. So what we have is 868 derailments in 2021, 68 collisions, 330 that are designated as other. A lot of those are
Wow.
obstructions on rail track.
Wow.
And so, I raise that because we can improve safety in the rail industry. And we have a number of our safety
Yeah, like
recommendations.
having a lookout rail car in front of a train that's carrying hazardous chemicals. That way, if there is something obstructing the track, they can give a proper heads up behind them to slow down, come to a halt so they can safely remove whatever the obstruction is and move right on and be able to move nice and safely. I mean, this should already be happening. This is 2023.
That are on our most wanted list of transportation safety improvements that we have been fighting for decades to get implemented, which would improve rail safety.
That's the part of, it sucks because they do such a great job investigating all these, accidents and stuff. And they suggest the proper recommendations, but it's up to the government to enforce them. They do such amazing work. They come out with great safety recommendations. Their investigations are top notch. And yet they're the ones that are least heard from the people that need to need to hear it to be able to make these changes and vote on these things. That's the issue here. And it also comes into, contacting your local governor or senator as well. If there's enough petitions out there, they have to hear it. It can start with a pen and a paper as well.
But I want to be clear. We have to make sure that what we're proposing as the NTSB is specific to this accident. That's our job. Our job is to determine how this happened and to issue safety recommendations to prevent this one from happening again. That's why I got so frustrated and tweeted. Nobody tweets for me. I tweet my own tweets. That's why I got so frustrated and tweeted, because there's a lot of misinformation on what would have prevented this. And I'm happy to go through some of those. This is a community that has been devastated. They deserve to know what happened, how to prevent it from happening again. They deserve to have the right solutions. Often during our investigations, everyone is guessing. I saw it all over media, which was driving me nuts. And, those solutions, all of the ones I heard of are not the solutions. And so we'll do a little evaluation to prove that they're not. But I get frustrated because what happens is everybody jumps to those solutions. And then when we issue our final report, we get ignored. That is frustrating. So when we issue our final recommendations, I want Norfolk Southern to act if they get one. I want FRA and PHMSA to act if they get some. I want others to.
But will they?
We need action on what would prevent that from happening
No, they
again.
won't.
That is our
That's
goal.
the problem. They won't.
Was the NTSB notified immediately afterwards? When exactly was NTSB notified that there was potentially mild chloride release? And do you have an exact time of understanding of when that became apparent to the first responders also coming on scene? Because that's what has not been shown.
The question is, when were we notified of the derailment? I am going to let Rob answer this question, but I'm going to start with, we do have a response operations center that works 24/7. Dedicated professionals that are monitoring social media. They have television screens. They get input from the National Response Center, which is where the railroads and others are supposed to report any type of tragedy. But for this one, I will let Rob address the specific question.
Specifically, at the moment where the toxic when we're notified.
So our notification would be the notification with the accident. There is, the Coast Guard operates a National Response Center, which you can think of as a 911 for the country. All the railroads have to report to these accidents to that Coast Guard center, who then reports that to our own Response Operations Center. And through that, we get the notification. In this particular case, I think it was about an hour for the notification. So with regard to the toxic chemicals, we're notified of the derailment and the fact that there's a fire with it. I mean, that's the extent of the notification to us. The first responders, they're the ones that get to the scene and they look for those placards so that they can make sure the community is safe.
Why that was happening in one rail car, not the others, what was going on with the integrity of the car itself to make that happen?
The question is about the polymerization that was going on in the vinyl chloride tank cars and why one tank car and not the other tank cars. So vinyl chloride, it's a monomer, and it's actually the monomer from which we make PVC, polyvinyl chloride. And so there was a chemical reaction. It was initiated by the vinyl chloride monomer getting too hot. And of course, in a fire environment like that, the amount of heat flux on each car is going to be a little different. So the car that was observed to have the rising temperature probably had the highest heat flux during a fire. That polymerization reaction is an exothermic reaction. So it's going to add heat to the car, which is why the car temperature was rising. It does reach a point where the temperature added by the reaction actually causes the reaction to speed up. So the rising temperature causes the reaction to speed up, which causes the temperature to rise more, and you reach what they refer to as a runaway reaction. And that's what that 180 degrees, you want to stay below that so you don't get into a situation of a runaway reaction. That was the big concern, that would go to a runaway reaction.
I want to call on somebody who has not been called on yet. No, the question is, when did the plastic pellets, when was the fire initiated with the plastic pellets? That was after the derailment. Which axle? Go ahead.
Oh my God.
The car 23.
That sounds so good,
The car
Punksy.
carrying the plastic pellets. The car with
I
the
wish
hot
I
axle.
could have a 5-hour nap.
I actually don't know whether it was the front axle or the rear axle at this point.
Sir, the one in front. Yes.
Hi, Rashad. That's the next sergeant here. Can you speak a little bit more about the rear investigative hearing you plan to hold? What are you going to learn, and will you make sure that Norfolk Southern is there to hear concerns from community?
Yeah, so the rare investigative field hearing I mentioned, our investigative field hearing, we do not conduct those on every investigation. It is very rare. I think the last one was a Southwest Airlines investigation that investigative hearing that we held a few years ago. The investigative hearings are different from a town hall. Investigative hearings are invited witnesses, so we can get facts and we can talk about possible solutions surrounding what occurred, why it occurred, how it occurred, and what would prevent it from reoccurring. And so we will invite Norfolk Southern. Part of your question was, will we invite Norfolk Southern? I'm sure we will invite Norfolk Southern as part of that panel. What happens in those investigative hearings is each of the board members will ask questions.
If this is going to be live streamed and anybody comes across it, let me know, please. Because I would like to chill back and listen to the live stream while it's going on. Have some people up on panel and we can sit there and chat about it. We'll be on like a couple-minute delay just out of respect for them. And then I'm sure we'll pause it and chat here and there when it comes to the different stuff. But I wonder if it's going to be live streamed. That'd be very interesting.
Of the panelists. A few staffers might also ask questions of the panelists, so we can really dig into the information to identify what occurred here. And go here and then to Alan.
Kyle Mazza from UNF News. Former President Trump visited East Palestine and decried the Biden administration, your federal government response. What's your reaction to him saying that and decrying the Biden administration, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg for not visiting too soon in his words? What do you say to the former president since he's not in government now and you're there?
Yeah, so this is what I'm going to say. Enough with the politics on this. Enough with the politics.
That won't happen.
I don't understand why this has gotten so political. This is a community that is suffering. Right. This is not about politics. This is about addressing their needs, their concerns. That's what this should be about. So I don't care about the politics. What I care about is caring for them. What I care about is figuring out how this happened. And care about, and the NTSB cares about, is getting to what would prevent this from reoccurring. Safety is the only thing we care about. Politics is left at the door.
Yes, ma'am.
Politics is not part of our investigative process. Our credibility rests on us carrying out an objective, thorough investigation, and that's what we'll do.
What a great watch.
Thank you for the question.
I'm going to put the link to this video in chat again. What a great watch. Thanks for everybody who's hung out with me while we watched this whole thing.
Well, I do have some data on the train length and weight. For this one, the train was 9,309 feet long and 17,977 tons in weight. The question is, am I concerned about that? I'm concerned about any train that transports a hazardous material or could negatively impact a community, just like I'm concerned about other modes of transportation.
Right.
This is why the NTSB exists, so that we can get to zero in all modes of transportation to improve safety over time. I think we've been part of that, but we also have a long way to go, and we'll continue on.
I wish they had more power.
So I'm always nervous, of course, and I care for we all care for the communities because we work with them afterwards. But you know, we need to make sure that after these tragedies, because I go back to our recommendations and something Tom asked about. It is frustrating when our recommendations don't get implemented, and I tell you, it's particularly frustrating for our investigators when they go to another accident scene and say, "I saw this on this one. Why wasn't it addressed?" Sometimes our recommendations are not implemented. That is frustrating. If they were, Those numbers I read you would be much lower.
2 more questions?
Go for it.
I got an interesting interview at Aaron Brockovich coming up too. It's on a sports radio show I listen to.
I'm going to allow you to answer.
So it'll be interesting.
The breaking that occurred prior to the critical alarm was dynamic braking. That's using the motors in a locomotive as generators to slow the train. That would not have added heat to the axle. So the critical alarm occurred before then, before they actually used the train line brakes.
All right. Since that was a follow-up, I'll do 2. Alan.
All right, thank you. I'm wondering if you can provide a little bit more information on where the last sensor was and where the derailment occurred. It seems that they're quite close, but I can't tell. I missed it from the report of the distance. Was it 100 feet, 1,000 feet, or roughly, obviously?
They certainly are very close. We are getting the numbers. Part of that has to come from our event recorder data, and we haven't yet done the full analysis of the event recorder. The event recorder will tell us exactly when the emergency brake application occurred, and we can use that with the location of the detector to understand how far the train had moved when the derailment occurred. So that's an analysis yet to be done.
One more. Anybody who didn't ask a question first? Okay, Ian, you're up.
So the video, it looks like the bearing space is on fire or really hard at that point. I think that is very close to that second detector. Is the condition of it being so hard,
Yeah, so we're still looking at that video, and we're looking at others, and that's why we're trying to find other videos to determine, what was going on there. We believe that it was hot, and at that point, grease is burning. That's what we believe on the axle. But do you want to add to that? Yeah.
Wow, grease was burning, huh?
So we are researching that particular video as well as other videos. We've been contacting businesses that have security cameras all along the route. One of the things we have to do is get the actual location of the camera. So we had that video, we didn't have the actual location down to the foot. And so as we do this analysis and look at all of these video cameras, we're going to get the actual location so that we can estimate, when this occurred. With regard to the temperature measurements are obviously on the outside of the bearing housing. So the video is looking at the end of the bearing housing, vice the bottom. So there may be some difference there as well. And we will look at what effect that might have had on the actual temperature.
Oh yeah, they're going to do their shit
in the accident.
All right. Well, we thank you very much.
Yeah, they're going to do their shit. That's for sure. Yeah, I do have an interesting interview. It's about 27 minutes with Aaron Brockovich. It's on a sports show that I watch, and I have watched for a long time. The Dan Lebitard show. So that'll be interesting. I'm going to play, speaking of Aaron Brockovich, when is she going to be? Is she coming there tomorrow? That'd be interesting. I mean, I did hear that, but I haven't heard anything more about it. Since Monday, I think? Something like that. But this is a resident talking about residents who can't afford to leave, that they need to be protected. And I'll go into that interview here in a minute. I don't know where Kevin's at. Oh, wow. 6 p.m. All right. Well, that should be that video should be up by the time I do my show then. Sorry, this was already supposed to have switched already. My bad. That's a couple times now, StreamYard.
We'll continue the conversation right now. Who lives East Exotic? Kelly, thank you very much. I know you've been watching the community going through all this, and so many questions, and the controlled burn was just a huge concern. So, what's your major concern right now?
The long term, what we're going to do to sustain life for the residents that can't afford to just up and walk away from their investments, their homes, their properties, their jobs.
You have a home, relatively new. You were out of it for what, a week, and then coming back. So, do you feel like it's safe to drink the water, to breathe the air? I mean, are you wearing a mask? You don't.
I don't believe a mask will do much. The initial 2 days of the chemicals burning and soaking into the ground did most of the damage. I mean, blowing it up, that didn't help either. But the initial, I mean, it was smoldering for 2 days, letting off fumes, and
wow, for 2 days.
you know, we were breathing that in for 2 days.
Wow.
So before they decided to evacuate.
Wow.
Have you had symptoms?
Hold
Have you
on
gone
a
to the
minute.
doctor?
They weren't Okay. I thought these people were evacuated right away. That thing sat and smoked for 2 days after it was. And we saw those fucking fumes coming out. It was like neon yellow. Just, I mean, thick. That's one of the first videos. That was coming out of there for 2 days. Oh my gosh.
The doctors, unfortunately, can only
Yeah,
treat
I would
symptoms.
too, Punksy.
They are unable currently
I
to
probably
run
would.
toxicology tests because they don't even know what to test for, is what I was told by my PCP. My husband, he has had the second day, he was coughing up blood. Chemical inhalation can lead to chemical pneumonitis, which can also lead to pulmonary edema. So there's a lot of, ultimately, a lot of lung issues that we potentially could be facing. He is still having issues with breathing. The blood has subsided, but he is still having issues with breathing, coughing, getting winded, short of breath, waking up in the middle of the night, unable to breathe.
Oh my gosh.
Myself, it's the headaches. The headaches have just been horrible.
Oh, the headaches
I'm sorry
are the
you're
worst.
going through all of this. I think there's some people who would say, you know, there are those who are higher risk than others for asthmatic symptoms and the kinds of symptoms that you're talking about. But also, of similar importance, the property values there. Do you worry
Oh, they're going
that your
down.
home, which is
Shit.
situated on quite a large plot of land, that your value could go down because of this?
Skyrocketed down.
Absolutely. I
Come
mean,
on.
who's going to want to buy a property
Right.
with East Palestine in the name for
Right.
a very long time, if
Right.
ever? We have a 14-acre property. We
Right.
just purchased it in May.
Oh no. In May
It's an older
last
property,
year.
needs a lot of updates.
Wow.
Do we keep investing money into
Oh,
updating our property?
no.
Do we walk away?
Oh,
I mean,
no.
you don't know what to do at this point.
Oh no.
Kelly Azotic from East Palestine, we want to thank you for being here, and hopefully
That's where the rail companies should be required to purchase all of the homes and the land in the fucking city. You know what? You created that disaster right there at ground zero. You need to purchase it and come up with your own research program. There you go. pay for everybody's real property value before the fucking accident took place, so they can have their financials back. Because just like this lady, they invested probably their whole life into this property not even a year ago, and now all of a sudden it's gone because of nothing they did at all. So then let's make this rail company purchase the properties, and then they can come up with a research program on what to do if it ever happens again, how long, use it as an educational area zone. Allow these people to, because they're already going to suffer the shit that her husband's going through. Waking up, not being able to breathe. I mean, man, it sounds like the dude is really tore up. So sad.
The community town hall that they're having tonight, and the visit by Transportation Secretary.
Thank you for watching. Go to
Oh my
newsnationnow.com to find news.
Thank you for letting me know that the video was done. All right, I'm going to go to another video with the residents talking about their skepticism. And then we'll go into that Aaron Brockovich.
Trains have been back on the tracks for several days in Palestine, Ohio. People who live here say their lives are still derailed. Barb Thompson is working to help her 80-year-old mother move.
So we've been packing real hard, trying to get it all
Oh. Oh.
Now, it's time to go.
Now it's time to go.
Her mother's home site where 30 folks Southern Maine derailed. It sparked a fire, an evacuation, and later a controlled release of hazardous chemicals, which had prompted looming concerns about the environment and health
Cool.
of those who live here.
Oh, it was terrifying.
I
It
did
was
I
absolutely
did sub
terrifying.
to them, Kip Kitty.
I've never seen anything like this at all, ever. So it was pretty scary.
80-year-old Darlene Murphy was there when it happened. Now she says she's experienced things like headaches and sore throat.
They said it was safe.
You believe that?
No, I don't. I don't because I got a sore throat. I got watery eyes. I don't believe anything they're telling us.
They're right to be concerned. Look, some of these issues, health issues, environmental issues, they can last for years. They can last for decades.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg took questions from reporters
Now
Thursday
he's
while
concerned.
promising to make and encourage additional regulations on trains carrying hazardous materials. So what assurances can you give the people of East Palestine you're going to hold Norfolk Southern's feet to the fire, and that when all the news cameras are gone, while the politicians have left, that they will actually be safe and that they'll have their town back the way it was?
That's exactly why we're here. That's why we've been here from the first hours of the incident as an administration. And it's why our interest both in what happened here in East Palestine and in keeping our railroads safe doesn't go away when some other hot news story comes into the headlines. We're going to be here day in, day out, year in, year out, making our railroads safer and making sure Norfolk Southern meets its responsibilities.
Despite those promises, there is another symptom spreading here among those we spoke to: mistrust of those in power.
Yeah, they're patronizing us.
Yeah.
Telling
think so?
us what they think we want to hear. Yep, and it's just plain old bull. You could put that on TV. I hate it.
I asked Darlene Murphy what things would make it better. She says right now she's not really sure, just that she'd like to see things returned to normal. And most of the people we've talked today say that they are drinking bottled water when can, despite assurances that the local water here is safe to drink. We'll have more on this story coming up tonight. Reporting live from East Palestine, Ben Haverly, 10 TV News.
Oh, stop. Damn it. I didn't get to it in time, but haha, I'm going to switch it so you guys don't have to hear it. Okay. Yes, broken promise. Oh, it don't stop for me, though. Okay, there we go. I'm going to stop that real quick. Yes, yeah, if not, there should be a video, so if you guys get one, let me know, because I do want to start tomorrow night's show off with that. We'll probably end up, honestly, having another show tomorrow night of the Ohio train stuff, because there's just so much, and the stuff, there's a lot of stuff I'm not gonna kind of let go to the recycle bin. we need to play a lot of these videos that I got. So, um, now fingers crossed. I'm gonna play this. I've never played a video from this channel before. It could be heavily fucking copyrighted. I don't fucking know. So fingers crossed that nothing happens to the stream. Hell, if Joe Rogan lets me play his shit, Levitard's got to let me play his shit, you know? Hot dogs sound good. Yes. Let me know how it goes, you guys. I do want to check them out. All right. The Levitard and Friends. That's cool. Look at all them little cartoon people. That's neat. All right. Let me... Ooh, I need to put their link in the chat. All right. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. This is Erin Brockovich on the crisis in East Palestine, Ohio. This was from Friday. She was on the Dan Levitard show on Friday. So I'll put the link to this video in chat as well. We'll chill back, have another listen. Instead of this being a press conference, this is going to be an interview. And I have a feeling she's going to be a lot more open about how she feels on this radio show, because this isn't some political show. So I have a feeling she's not going to be politically correct. She's going to have a little more feeling. Fingers crossed, I'm hoping. But please, fingers crossed, let's not have any... I would love to be able to play these Please. Dude, don't do nothing. If Joe Rogan don't do nothing, you don't do nothing, man. Fingers crossed. Oh boy, here we go.
It seems these days everywhere you turn, it feels a little bit apocalyptic. We have had a rash of toxic spills here. Kissimmee yesterday had a big fire that they were trying to get under control as toxic fumes went all over the place. And then a train derailment, obviously, earlier this week in Ohio, Palestine, where you've just got fish dying miles away. And I was thrilled when I heard that Erin Brockovich was coming on with us, because she's famed now as a consumer activist, and she's out here doing important work in order to bring attention to corporate greed. So thank you for being on with us. A lot of people obviously may know the name from Julia Roberts and you being in the movie, but the backstory was you were a law clerk and you started fighting about this kind of stuff a long time ago when everyday citizens were being affected by a toxic spill in their area, and you realized, I don't know if it was for the first time, but you realized how corporate greed 30 years ago had already run amok in a way that was poisoning the environment. Thank you for joining us, Erin.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah, it was 30. Oh, let's see. I began my work out in that famous little desert town in 1991. So about 30 years plus ago. And then the film came out 20 plus years ago. And, you know, I came in, I was young. I'm 62 now, and I was just turning 31. And I came out, and it was kind of my first blush of what was corporate greed. And I was born and raised in Kansas, and just standing out there, instinctually, everything felt so wrong and everything looked so wrong. I felt like I'd been dropped into the land of Oz. The frogs had two heads, the water was green, people were complaining of all these symptoms. And see, I believed them. And I didn't think they were making this up. And that's one step we miss in so many of these stories, is we just don't want to listen to the people and what's happening to them. And we don't want to believe what we're hearing or they're experiencing. And so I learned very early on my connection to the people, and being and supporting and believing and understanding what they're going through, and then learning about a corporation and how frantically they want to try to suppress that voice and cover up that information, because at the end of the day, for them, somebody's going to legally chisel into those profits of theirs in a big old lawsuit, and they'll go to a lot of deaths to keep that quiet.
What do you think right now is happening in Ohio, where 38 cars derail, vinyl chloride ends up burning?
Nice. These are going to be some great questions. And I apologize. I'm going to have to pause this a little more than usual just to make sure that we're cool. So I might pause it a little more than usual, just a heads up.
And they'll go to a lot of depths to keep that quiet.
Great questions,
What
though.
do you
Here we
think
go.
right now is happening in Ohio?
Thank
where
you, Dan
38
Levitard.
Cars derail, vinyl chloride ends up burning, and things are dying 7.5 miles away.
Okay, on a common sense scale,
Great question.
something's wrong. I can't even almost sometimes not have a conversation when it's like what you just said. There was a train derailment. They were carrying hazardous chemicals. There was set, or they thought to be, an explosion. So they do some controlled burn. People are evacuated. They're sick. Reports of, projectile vomiting in children who can't breathe. Their lips are turning blue. Their throats feeling tingly. All of these issues.
That's a fine.
And ant chickens dying, their foxes dying, their cats are dying, the deer are dying. I mean, come on. We can say whatever we want, but something's wrong out there. And I have just been flooded with emails from the community. They're scared, they're confused, they don't know where to go. And the message is, I've never seen such a conflicting message so blatantly in everyone's face than I have this situation. So we have a train derailment on February 3rd, whether it's on fire, it's getting ready to catch fire, it's getting ready to blow up. They do a controlled burn. They put everybody into immediate evacuations, shelter in place. This is dangerous. Days go by. Then they say, oh, we've tested everything. Just poof, magically, it's safe. Come back home. They come back home.
Bunch of
and a few days
BS.
later, second thought, don't drink the water. Okay, well, that's a big alert.
Right.
And then the next day, it's like, okay, drink the water. They are, the town hall meeting that happened there last night, these people are rightfully frustrated. They are fearful for their safety, for their animals, for their water. And it's like they are stuck up in some political corporate bullshit at their expense.
Wow,
And
listen to
I
that.
can't imagine what they're feeling because I'm frustrated enough. And so
Closed
just
captioning bleeped
in
it
the
out.
short conversation that we've had, something's not right. Something doesn't make sense. They instinctually know this. And
Nice.
yes, one of the chemicals was vinyl chloride. And when
There's a
it's
link to
under
it.
heat, when it's set on fire, it can turn into other gases. That may explain why the animals just suddenly died. But one chemical they're not talking about that they have confirmed was in some of those rail cars is the butyl acrylate. And what people
Is the
might not know
what?
about
Hold on,
that
hold on,
is
hold on.
if you read the MSDS sheet, that chemical.
Hold on. What is it?
But one chemical they're not talking about that they have confirmed was in some of those rail cars
no.
is the butyl acrylate.
All right, let me look that up. Butyl acrylate. I'm going to go into that in tomorrow night's show. So if you have any information you'd like to send me overnight or through the day tomorrow about butyl acrylate, and I'll put the way it's spelled. If you can't see it on there, I'll put the way it's spelled here. This is, what happened? Shoot. I can't see. Hold on. I really got to figure out a different setup on my desk. Since I moved my mic arm, it's really hard to type stuff in my computer now because I wasn't able to put it on the back of my computer. I had to put it in front of it, so it kind of makes it. I don't know. I just need to get a new desk set up or something, or maybe customize this thing in a different way. Let me see. So yeah, I'll get into that. I'll get into that tomorrow night show. That chemical. I wonder why they're not talking about it. We'll definitely look it up. The MSDS, butyl acrylate. If you have any information you want to send, though, please do. I appreciate that. And yeah, we'll get into that tomorrow night. Interesting, nobody's talking about it, and it's been confirmed in some of those rail cars.
Late. And what people
So I'm gonna go ahead and back up just a teeny bit.
can turn into other gases that may explain why the animals just suddenly died. But one chemical they're not talking about that they have confirmed was in some of those rail cars is the butyl acrylate. And what people might not know about that is if you read the MSDS sheet, that chemical has an additive. That additive is benzene. As of yesterday, they had detected this outside of the containment zone. But you're not looking for benzene. So is there some chemical here, something that's being slid under the rug that might even explain why these people are having blue lips, respiratory problems, and some of the health issues they are? I don't know. But in the absence of a whole lot of data that I haven't seen, I don't think anybody's being transparent about, here's the test results, take a look at them, here's the lab results, here's the detection limits, this is what we found, this isn't what we found. For anyone to deem this safe without knowing, seeing, or verifying that information is concerning.
You kind
I
of
could go on a rant. I think I'm already on a rant. I'm
Keep
so
going.
worked up about this.
Well, you
I knew
softened
this
the
was
ending
going to
when you
have
just said
passion in
concerning,
it.
'cause
I knew
don't
it.
know how bad this is going to get.
It's not a political
I don't know how
show.
to get politics out of the
Yep.
conversation involving our impending environmental apocalypse here. I am at a
What a
bit of
great video.
For what to do and who to trust.
Right? This is a
Yeah,
great
and
interview.
That is exactly how
Gosh,
these
what a
people
great
feel,
interview.
And that we are trying.
Why? How come she's not doing more interviews? Is it because she doesn't want to? Or is it because there's nobody reaching out to her to do interviews? How do I reach out to Erin Brockovich? How do I reach out to Erin Brockovich? My God. The conversation we would fucking have, you know?
To start sorting that out, talking with the law, looking at what the laws are, what is really going on out
Can you
there,
imagine
how
the
could
conversation we would have?
how could we do a urine test, how find something that's missing, and waiting. And these situations can get covered up. You know, when I
don't
stumbled
know.
on my workout in Hinckley, California,
I don't have
that
TikTok.
had been in place for years and covered up. As a matter of fact, every single environmental situation I work on throughout the country,
Maybe
including
email?
forever
I don't know.
chemicals, has been covered up. And it can take a beat
Maybe
to
Twitter.
begin to research it,
Maybe
gather
Twitter.
information. I'm finally starting to hear from whistleblowers, railroad workers, as to what has really happened, because you can count on the fact that Norfolk and some of our leaders aren't real good at coming forward and being transparent about what they've done.
The people you're hearing from, what are they saying, and who do you trust? Is there anyone outside of them that you trust?
Well, it's certainly not Norfolk. You'd like to believe in your leaders, but the messaging is so inconsistent that makes me skeptical. I'm supporting and I believe these people. Because oftentimes people don't want to believe these people. Oh, it's just a cough. You're making the chickens didn't die.
Oh, she has? I haven't
And
seen
that's
them.
the last thing that these communities do. So we could learn a lot from them, but we don't want to see or hear from them because we're probably going to find out what happened once people start
Thank you,
testing.
Kip Kitty.
I encourage them when in an administrations, leaders, agencies, whatever you want to call them, that we've often, and we were brought up to believe had our backs and our safety first and foremost, actually aren't going to do that. That they need to become their own citizens of science. They need to protect themselves, be vigilant, band together as a community, journal what's happening to you, document what's going on. We have this great little gadget called the phone, and this is where we're getting images of, the fish dying. But they will have to become their own protector and gather their own information to, at the end of the day, prove that this did happen to us, which I think is the biggest tragedy of all. During COVID, I wrote my book, Superman's Not Coming, our national water crisis, but what we the people can do about it. And that's the truth. Nobody is coming to stop these situations. They've been going on for 30 plus years.
Man.
People aren't changing their mindset about how they're going to deal with them. We have failing infrastructures. It does feel apocalyptic.
Big time. It
But
does.
once you recognize no one's coming to save you, by gosh, we can rise up. We'll ask the questions. We'll protect ourselves. We'll join our community. We'll get the answers. And that's what you're going to have to do. If you feel unsafe in that area, leave. If you feel unsafe and you don't want to come back, don't. But you have got to rely. They are the ones on the ground, drinking this, breathing it, living it, experiencing it. You have got to be your own best person and take care of yourself and make decisions on the ground of what it is you think is best. Be vigilant. Test your water. If the water smells, if the water's a different color, don't drink it. If you're getting another smell in the air, lock up the windows, maybe leave, but you have to rely on those, on what it is you're going to do in that situation to best protect yourself, your family, and your health, because nobody else, frankly, is going to do it for them.
Yeah, they're
or
not
for
looking
me,
out
or
for 'em.
any of us.
Yeah.
Is there a way for you to?
Yeah, I just followed her on
to be able to
Twitter.
accurately project.
I'm gonna
just
reach
based
out.
on your experiences. I don't know if this is even fair to ask you.
Nothing will
Just
probably
how
happen though.
bad
But
the
I'm
next
definitely
coming
gonna reach
months
out.
can be in that area if the worst of everything is true.
Well, if the worst of everything is true,
Maybe Saturday night.
it could have a very long lasting impact. And it would be speculation until we thoroughly know, and this is what's frustrating, what the actual chemicals are. Right now, we only know what Norfolk is choosing to tell us.
And that's scary.
What I have learned is over time, generally somebody from within.
And that's very scary that Norfolk, that they're the only ones releasing these chemicals. Why are not all, I just don't understand this. This is so crazy. And I'm so nervous that they're not going to be held accountable for a lot of this stuff because there's no standard or regulations on it. But there's always a first, so hopefully this is the first one that starts the domino for the shit that's supposed to happen.
We know what Norfolk
There's always a first.
is choosing to tell us. What I have learned is over time, generally somebody from within gets some morals. They don't like what's going on, and somebody might send me an email. But these chemicals don't just go away overnight. So there could be a long-term impact, as we've learned with these forever chemicals that don't break down well in the environment, that don't break down well in the water. And we could be looking at a long-term environmental problem. So again, we're missing so much information, and that's what's so frustrating for this community. You've had a major train derailments, and you've got a state EPA. I guess the US EPA is going to be there now. You've got their governor and layers of administration that can't seem to get any answers either. Just goes really to how unprepared we are for these types of situations that are becoming way too common. So the impacts can be long lasting. And this is why I'm pushing hard at my back end here to try to ascertain and decipher what kind of chemical are we actually dealing with, and what kind of chemical is out there that they're not looking for, or they don't want to tell us that they've found. Once you know that kind of information, you can get a better trajectory of long term. In Hinckley, California, the hexavalent chromium, and I started that in the 90s, that chemical hit the groundwater aquifer in the late 50s at astronomical level, about 58 parts per million. And by the way, we just have a guideline for this chemical at 50 parts per billion. So if that gives you an
Oh
idea
my gosh.
how large the magnitude of this chemical was, they were under an estimated cleanup then of 150
Wow. Oh my gosh. 150 plus years.
And so there's
Wow.
immediate effects, and there's this long-term situation of our
Wow.
water. I can't think of anything or a greater commodity that this country has than our land and water.
Right.
And when we're now
Right.
with so much pollution in our water,
Oh, man.
and cleanups are 150 plus years,
150 plus years.
it's daunting.
Wow.
Aaron, I don't know that I
Wow.
can actually pivot to anything more depressing than what we're already talking about.
Wow.
If I
I just felt the same way.
If I go to National Water Crisis with you and your book Superman's Not Coming, I'm going to ask
Superman's
you about
Not
it. But
Coming
let me
is a
just
book.
stay with a couple of more questions here. What do you make of David Sirota of The Lever reporting that Norfolk Southern, the company that owns the train the train that derailed and that Aaron has been talking about, that they lobbied to kill federal safety checks?
What? What?
Of course they did.
Hold on. What?
You know, I again in super.
To anything more depressing than what we're already
I want to hear that
talking
again.
about.
Who?
If
I just felt the same way.
If I go to National Water Crisis with you and your book Superman's Not Coming, I'm going to ask you about it, but let me just stay with a couple of more questions here. What do you make of David Sirota of The Lever reporting that Norfolk Southern, the company
Norfolk Southern.
that owns the train the train that derailed and that Aaron has been talking about, that they lobbied to kill federal safety checks?
Wow. So it was Norfolk Southern.
Of course they did. You know, I again in Superman's Not Coming, I talk a great deal about antiquated and failing infrastructure. And, you know, they don't want to have to deal with the added cost on the upfront of maintenance or infrastructure, because that doesn't get them to their bottom line of a good profit. So I definitely think, you know, these big companies have lobbying groups that can go in and make a lot of,
Dog's
you know,
just chilling.
magical things
What's up,
happen in
puppy?
politics on what they can be exempt from or what they don't have to do.
You've seen it so many different places. I'm curious, the most appalling of the corporate greed that you have seen when you see these kinds of things covered up unethically.
Well, I think one of the worst pollutions is the forever chemicals known as perfluorooctanoic acid. Most people would know it as Teflon. They would know it as the plastic coatings on our coffee cups. They would know it as fire retardants. They would know it as Scotch Guard. I mean, that's in every single product that 3M and DuPont manufactured decades ago. Actually let the EPA know that this might be a chemical that could be hard to remove from the environment, yet it's allowed to get into the environment for decades. And now we've learned that it's destroyed a huge swath of farming land and aquifers and water supplies across the country.
Wow.
I'm working on this chemical in every single state in America. and specifically
Thank
the
God
past
for
2
Aaron
years been
Brockovich.
in Maine. We all know the state of Maine, beautiful, pristine, organic farming. Well, this chemical got into their aquifers and they've now had to kill the cattle because it got in the milk. You can't eat the eggs. You can't drink the water.
Right.
You can't eat the fish. You can't hunt the deer. You can't eat the deer meat. So we've now taken a chemical and spread it on the land and destroyed farming, organic farming,
Tomorrow
and
night.
the water, and it's gotten into the food chain. I think this is will be the biggest environmental issue
Yep.
of our time.
And they're not fucking talking about it. And we are. Yeah, Kel, we will. We'll have one tomorrow night. We'll have one tomorrow night after tomorrow night's show. Like I said, I'm going to leave it up till tomorrow night on what I'm going to talk about, but I'm just letting you guys know it's probably going to be more of this. But tomorrow night we will be doing some games after the show. We'll be doing Trivia Murder Party 2. And then we played Teed Off or TKO the other night. So tomorrow night we're going to do Trivia Murder Party 2, and then we're going to play Quiplash 3 after that. So we'll be playing those two games. And I would really, if anybody would like to, I'll show the websites at the end. I believe you can, I know Casino SRB, if you're still in the stream, or anybody else that can play on a tablet or a phone. The Casino World. If you look up Casino World, we can all play that, and I can even host parties in my city where we can play all the games that you can play on the Casino World game. I can host games there, and you have your little avatar walking around and everything. But I'll show that stuff here at the end of the show. I'm going to let this finish out. I just wanted to pause it again real quick. And then I'll show those two real quick. Anybody, seriously, if there's a 8-ball, 9-ball game that we can play on a PC tablet, definitely let me know and send that to me in a message, please. I'll definitely get it set up so we can shoot some pool after some Trivia Murder Party and Quiplash tomorrow night. That'd be awesome.
Because I don't know what we're possibly thinking.
Good
when
night,
we
Kid
allow
Kitty.
chemicals into the stream of commerce, and it ends up contaminating the land, the water, and the food chain.
Aaron, I don't know how, given that you've dedicated your life to this activism, you can get the Brockovich report. It's a free newsletter because she has dedicated herself to fighting this thing, and it must feel hopeless, even as you tell us in your book what we can do about the water crisis, to see us this hell-bent on destroying the earth.
It's been really hard. I'm so glad you brought that up, because oftentimes, I'll do shows and I leave thinking, well, they're never going to have me back again, because it's so daunting. It's so depressing. It's so overwhelming. Where would the hope be? But I have to tell you, 30 years on the ground, and as daunting as it's been, there is hope. I think we are in one of the better moments in my 30-year career of waking up and realizing, whether we were comfortable or complacent or we just bought the BS, that we're going to have to speak up. And in these communities, historically and even currently, I'll tell you, there's the biggest hope for me is the moms. Oh, see, now they're getting fed up, and they're going to make it their job because they're protecting their babies. I'm going to find out what's going on, and I'm going to do something about it. So the hope still resides with
She is
us,
so awesome.
the very people
Thank God for Aaron
throughout this
Brockovich.
entire country that can make the change, and they're willing to do it. And I'm
She
going
is
to
so
stand
awesome.
right there and be willing to support them and help them in any way that I can. So I think there's a great awakening happening. I that sounds silly.
She is so awesome.
But it is. And I don't know if after COVID and everything shut down, can you think about that? We shut the world down, that we had a moment to go, what the hell is happening?
Right.
And in an even longer moment to kind of pop our heads up and around and start asking questions and looking around and going, what actually is going on? But I think if that we can continue to have these conversations, we continue to see, for so long, all of us in these communities and every community I've dealt with, it's always been, though, you're not a politician, you're not a scientist, you're not a doctor, you're not this, you're not that. What would you know? That has moved us away from these actual common sense set of skills and instincts that we have to go, well, I don't think I have to be any of that to be smart enough to tell you the two-headed frog and the green water and the train derailment that you've burning off, and I've got massive black plumes flying over me, that something isn't right, and that we can now get connected to that and stay with that, because that is what will be life-saving for all of us, is our action and our responses, and once again, believing in what it is we know we're living in, drinking, how we're responding to it, and nobody else knows that better than you, and rising up. And I'm just seeing it now, it's just playing itself out across the entire country.
It must be so frustrating to you, though, to be shouting at everybody
Right.
writing books, hey, our national water crisis, water's
And
pretty,
nobody's
water's pretty
listening.
important. I prefer in my lifetime not to be fighting over it, because we have ruined our water.
You know,
And it's all we
Johnny's
got.
shouting. I hope I'm not shouting at you, because I find myself doing that all the time. Even my kids are like, Mom, why are you shouting at me? I'm not shouting at you. You know, I'm so and compassionate about this. It's been tough. Again, like I just said, I think there's a wake up moment where maybe we're all
Good
starting
night,
to see it.
Ponzi. Thank you for
And
hopping in.
here's the thing.
And I'll be ending the show after this video here.
We, all of us, are better than this. And I'm perplexed as to why we continue to kick the can down the line for the sake of profits, when we're going to lose so much, if not everything, if we don't change a corporate mentality or a political ideology and recognize that our land and water and air and the health of our citizens is in fact our greatest commodity and the best thing that we have, and we can do business a better way. We have the means, we have the technology, we have the funding to upgrade our infrastructures, to implement ways to remove chemicals. We have a voice, we can be transparent and step out here and say, this was wrong, this is bad, I'm not sure how we can clean it up, but we're gonna find a solution to it. We have the means. And I really think that we are in a moment where there is nowhere else to kick the can down the line. And it's time for us to implement those technologies. It is time to change antiquated policies, antiquated infrastructures, antiquated laws, and get us on the right track. We're at a fork in the road. I hope we don't continue to follow our old historic, certainly in our environmental issues, ideas that have gotten us nowhere, and take a future path that we have the means and the ability to clean up our mess and move forward in a better way.
I'll let you go on this note. Again, she's the author of Superman's Not Coming, Our National Water Crisis.
Thank
and
you, Dan
what we,
Lebitard,
the
for this
people, can
interview.
do
Thank
about
you,
it.
Aaron
She's been a
Brockovich.
crusader
Wow,
against
what an
corporate greed
interview.
for a long time, an environmental activist. and
What an
advocate, a
interview.
pioneer,
This is
an icon,
awesome.
really, in the work that she's doing. What is, as briefly as you can say it, what we have not covered, and what can the people do about it who are interested or moved by you telling them that they need to be interested and moved?
Well, I think that we're all learning that the difference can be is you believing that you can, I've seen this for a
Wow.
long time.
Listen to that.
And the idea that we take on, like I said earlier,
Believe
if we're
that
not
you
this or
can.
that,
Wow.
you know what? You don't have to be any of that to be human.
Believe
and to
that
be
you
strong and to believe, yes, you can. I can step up to the plate.
Nice.
I can have this conversation. I can be a part of that change. That is the first step for all of us to take. I got this. I too can do this, and I will.
I'll show
rise
you the
up
logo
and
here
be
in a second.
Part of that change. Believe
that you
in
can.
you.
Nice.
That's very
What an
self-helpy,
inspiration.
But that doesn't tell me how I stop the national water crisis.
You
Well,
start
that's
talking
in
about
part
it.
how you stop the national water crisis. When you step up and step out,
Right.
we can begin to see
You
where
start
all
talking
these
about
national
it.
water crises are.
Yep.
And if every person in that community would join a force across this country,
There we go.
could start, you
Yep.
know, at a ground level locally,
Uh-huh.
getting involved locally, getting
Then go
involved
to the
with your
state.
local city council, getting your community involved, and just cleaning up
Yep.
the situation that's happening in your own backyard. And if every community and every city council did that across this country, we'd actually affect some change. So one thing people can do, show up, ask questions, show
I need
up
to
to a
start
city
doing that.
council meeting.
City council
Take the time
meetings.
to understand
I
your
should.
water quality report. If you're seeing something and while you're out on a hike and a bunch of dead animals and
And
the
stream
water's
it.
running purple, make that phone call, make that report. If every one of us just took that action in our own backyard across the country, again, we could help
Yeah.
reduce our water problems. And a lot of times people don't realize that they think this comes from federal or from state, when many regulations and many policies and many changes begin in your own backyard at your very own city council.
Let's do it.
And take the time to
I'm
show
down.
up, take the time to go to a meeting.
I'm down.
You might be shocked at what you can
I
find
need to
and
start
shocked at what
going.
you can do.
I need
Aaron,
to start
thank you
going.
for your time and for your work.
What a great video and a great watch. I need to start going to some city council meetings, honestly. Especially now that that fucking toxic water is here. I for sure need to fucking go. Wheel of Fortune would be fun, but there's only 3 people that can hop in that. I want something that everybody could hop into. Yeah, I got Family Feud. Wheel of Fortune, Trivial Pursuit. I have all that on the Xbox. But I'm just looking for something free that nobody has to pay for that we could all hop in. Now, there is one thing, and this is the game I was talking about. So if you look in the top left of the screen, that's the logo. If you can see it, the very top left of the game screen, that's the logo of the casino world. So that'll be the one that you want to download. And then, I mean, there's different bingo games, slots, poker, sports book where you do sports betting, roulette. I mean, 3-card poker, solitaire, bingo. Like, there's so many. Fringo, a different version of bingo. I mean, there's so many games that you can play. And what's really cool is, like, so if you go to your city, right? This is what I was talking about. If you go to your city, I can create my own party. And so whoever's in the stream, whoop. Oh, I got coins. Oh, shoot. I got coins I gotta collect. But basically, you go to your own little city, right? I can create my own private room. So we can basically have our own little party, and it literally, like, I think 16, 18 people or something like that can be in it. And then you can have your little avatar guy, person, lady on there. And it's really cool. You can actually, like, click on it to walk around. You can do different things. You can throw live parties and stuff. Yeah, it's just really cool, and it's a free game. My favorite slot, I got 2 favorite slots. I got Wild Nights, but Boogie Fever. I just want to show you guys this Boogie Fever real quick. I love this slot machine. And then you can see we can all play the slots together, and we can all sit here and be in a chat, doing it with StreamYard, because I'd be using StreamYard to stream this game. You guys could even be an open panel if you'd want, and we could sit here and talk while we're playing slots or whatever games. But this one is definitely cool. I'll just show you a couple spins of it. But it's really neat. Bingo, all sorts of stuff. Roulette. I just, I definitely like to find bowling and pool. I think bowling and pool, especially pool, would be really cool. But this is Casino World. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for hanging out with me tonight, going through all that stuff. I know it's depressing. It's shocking. There's a lot of new stuff that I didn't even know about, especially this butyl acrylate that nobody's talking about. So we'll be going into that tomorrow night. I hope you guys have a peaceful and positive evening. I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow night. Then we're going to do some games after that, some trivia murder party. I can't wait for that. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Thank you. I appreciate you guys so much.